how sustainable is this current trajectory that we're on?
I mean, it seems like more and more every year we forego the traditions, right? It seems like more and more every year we forego what got us to this point and what made college football such a booming business in the first place. And I think the more of that you take away, the fewer people are going to be interested, right? We've talked about that in realignment. We've talked about that, all throughout this whole process of the last couple of years of having this show. And, if you like, let's just take that rabbit trail all the way. Like if the NCAA decides we're going to make a separate division, right? What, the fans of Miami and Ohio by themselves are not going to, thwart the balance of that. But if you take the entire G5 and let's be honest, like probably half of the Power Five, if we're just creating like a UEFA Super League style super division at the top, that's millions and millions of fans that you're just alienating, right? Because why do they even care? Why would they tune in to watch a game that's just completely out of the realm of competition for them? It's just not going to work long term. So I think that's a very short-sighted solution to this problem. I think it's the NCAA grasping at straws, and they're trying desperately to avoid these top schools from just doing that anyways and doing that independently of them. They want to keep their hand in the cookie jar for as long as they possibly can. But the more and more that we see the NCAA just fumbling the bag and not having strong leadership in these things like NIL and the transfer portal and just really being an unnecessary middleman, the more that these schools are going to be tempted to do this by themselves. And if we have that happen, I think we're going to have NFL light. And I really don't think anybody wants that.
Yeah.
That would Go ahead, Jake.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
That's kind of where I stand on it. I don't know that. I think it's too far gone to try and fix the problems with the portal. And for me, the easiest thing that the NCAA could release some concrete clarification on would be tampering. When I see a guy go into the portal and immediately commit to a school, that's, it raises some eyebrows. Obviously guys talk to each other and there's no problem with guys who are friends from high school or what have you through the recruiting process that get to know each other. And they get to talking, and then maybe a guy knows that that's a good place to land, and then they go there. But I know for a fact there are some coaches, especially across the Power Five, that have members of their athletic department or coaching staff that are reaching out to these kids, during the season to kind of gauge their mind on where they stand with their current team and if they want to join them. And so for me, that's the biggest problem with the portal at the moment. And as far as sustainability on the trajectory that we're going, I think it completely screws the your smaller schools, all of your G5s, especially if this $30,000 per athlete model that we saw proposed earlier this week by the NCAA president, were to come to fruition. I don't know how that would be even somewhat affordable for a lot of these schools that are in financial trouble as it stands with athletics already. I mean, I'm assuming you all saw the story about Arizona athletics department had a little oopsie in the accounting department, and now they're in a $250 million shortfall. So for schools with financial troubles that can hardly afford to keep athletics, a lot of these teams on the books, I'm not sure that this benefits them at all. I think that the rich would only get richer. And, at the end of the day, it's parity that makes the sport so great. And so I think when we lose that, I think that's when we start to lose college football as a whole and what's made it, in my opinion, the greatest sport in this country.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, Oregon State is another example, right? Not necessarily directly related, but in an effort to kind of compete in this arms race back when the Pac-12 was supposed to be part of this alliance, uh, Oregon State takes out a massive loan to do renovations on their football stadium. And listen, it looks great, but now they're without a conference. Now they're without that steady source of revenue that they expected to be coming in to help cover those expenses, to help make that up. Now Oregon State's in a real bind, right? One of the many factors I think that was at play when Jonathan Smith left for Michigan State. So yeah, it just continues to take away this notion that this is an amateur sport, right? This is the NFL light. This has become a farm system for the professionals, and it's on a very similar business model. The problem is it's even worse than the NFL because at least at the pro level, you have guys signed to contracts, right?
And you have a
Legally,
salary cap where the teams are at
true.
least on even footing, right?
That's right. Thanks, Jerry, for that. Uh, in college, you can't have contracts. You can't have a salary cap because that truly would be pay for play, which currently is still illegal. So it's like the restrictions that are in place may actually harm us, may actually hold the game from getting to a healthy future state, while there weren't enough restrictions in the first place, at least in the right areas, to keep this from becoming a shootout at the OK Corral. I mean, gosh, how many different ways can we say it? The NCAA has messed up, and it's clean up on aisle 4, and I don't know that we're ever gonna have a mop big enough to fully open that aisle back up the way that it used to be. It's a very, very interesting problem.
Gracious him. How about